welcome to Mondo Thingo.
Tonight, what happened when Dave Gorman whacked his doodle? How did a family home movie become an international movie success? And when did Sean Penn change from a bad boy to a good citizen?
Hello and welcome to Mondo Thingo, the show that wants to be the 7:30 report when it grows up. And a special hello to one of our viewers, Jimmy, who visited the Mondo Thingo website with a small request. I'd just like you to change the title of your show because I've been trying to introduce the word Mondo into my social group, and now they'll think I got the word from your show rather than myself. Well, Jimmy, we really can't change our name, I'm afraid, and I strongly advise you to stop using the word Mondo, which is Italian for world, by the way, or you'll be hearing from the ABC lawyers, or maybe even from our bad-tempered friends Rocco and Dog. Well, now let's see what's happening in that far-off, fabled land of celebrities. Spider-Man 2 is nearly ready to go, so to crank up the anticipation, they sent its star to Tokyo with a little present for the fans.
Yes, hello, I'm Toby. I've just come from LA today to bring you guys some very special footage of Spider-Man 2.
Wow, if it's half as good as this, it should be great. Let's take a look.
Just one kiss.
No special effect here, unless they're covering up a cold sore. Ah, now we have some special effects. That villain must be very bad at reverse parking.
This is why I've never lived with a man. This and the fact that I want them out an hour after I climax. You let them stay a whole hour?
Sex and the City has ended, and now there's the Sex and the City end-of-series sale. These are some of the actual clothes that the cast spent so much time trying to take off. But for fans, owning the clothes isn't just about dressing like a colourblind drag queen.
I want to find something that's going to be like just a piece of the history of the show to have with me. So now that it's over.
Hopefully they'll be selling off unwanted male cast members shortly. Jet are the latest Oz rock band to get some attention in the US and the UK. They're being photographed, they're signing things, but they're not missing their old jobs.
I used to separate hearts from livers in a poultry store.
Probably best not to ask.
So we're interviewing Dave Gorman today, prominent English comedian, has had a number of best-selling books. His one-man shows have been sellouts.
Sounds like an overachiever. Anything else?
Well, we've been digging pretty hard, but there's no criminal record or financial indiscretions, and apparently he's never been romantically linked with Nicole Kidman or Ricky Martin.
Pity. What are we going to talk to him about?
Well, he's into Google whacking.
George, we can't talk about that in our time slot.
Amanda, Google whacking is an internet game. I thought you'd know that from your time on Beyond 2000.
I was the microbe and algae specialist, but I'll see what I can do.
OK.
Dave, you've written a book about Google whacking. You've done a stage show about Google whacking.
Yeah.
What the hell is Google whacking?
Well, I didn't really know until I got an email from an Australian one day that said, "G'day, Davo." That's how I knew he was Australian. Did you know that you are a Google whack? And my first instinct was that it was some kind of insult, because it sounds like an Australian insult to me. There's only one part of my anatomy I can imagine you lot calling a Google, and he appeared to be accusing me of whacking mine. So I emailed him and asked him to explain it, and essentially it's a kind of word game that you play using the internet. So you go to the search engine Google, you put 2 words in, you press search. Normally, any 2 words you do that with, it's going to come back with thousands of different pages. If it comes back saying, here is the one and only one page that contains those 2 words, that there is a Google whack and you've succeeded.
What kind of words do you put in for this?
The one that he'd found that led to my website was francophile and namesakes. And for a few weeks last year, I was the only website in the world to contain those 2 words. But they're all over the place. Bamboozled panfish was one, dork turnspit was one. They're all over the place, but and they keep disappearing, and then new ones will come along. They're like snowflakes, I think. They're unique, but they melt.
And you follow them up?
The whole thing became that I would find one, and then I'd go and meet the person responsible for the website, and then persuade them to find me another one, and then go and meet that person. In 8 weeks, I travelled 135,000 kilometres tracking these things down.
What about the guys who set up Google?
I admire them hugely. I think, is it Sergey Brin and Larry Page? These guys, they created it at university, they're now billionaires.
I know, billionaires!
But that's brilliant, because Google does a great job for free. It's the search engine of choice for everyone I've ever met. You put whatever you're trying to actually find, it generally finds it. And the fact that you can Google whack on it as well is just a kind of that's a diversion. The fact is, it's a great thing. I was watching TV the other night. In fact, I was watching a Woody Allen movie, Take the Money and Run, and there's a song in there which I recognised as the Austin Powers theme tune. And I thought, oh no, they've ripped that off. And 10 minutes later, I was online looking it up. It's the same writer. He stole his song from there. 10 years ago, I would have just been a frustrated teenager at home saying, I know that, I know that. And now I can go and find out about it. I love that.
What a tosser.
Brilliant. Yeah, I'm a geek. I'm a tosser. But you know what? This allows me to indulge my tosserdom. And that's OK.
Your form of comedy is called documentary comedy. What does that mean?
It basically means I tell true stories and I give you the evidence for it. So if you watch a regular stand-up saying, I was walking down the road the other day, you know he wasn't, and he knows that you know he wasn't, and you don't care because you all know it's a joke. But if you're watching my show and I say I went to France, and this is the reason I went there, I'll show you my boarding card and I'll show you a picture of me in France so you know it's true. Essentially what I do is tell true stories, and because we're used to things on stage not being true, I feel like I have to provide the evidence, and so I do, and that led a journalist back home to kind of coin the phrase documentary comedy. But I don't know. It's kind of the good thing about being in a genre. Somebody created a genre for me, and I'm the only person in it. And that means even if it's bad, I'm the best in the world.
You hold on to that, Dave.
Fantastic.
You're
I'm
a
the
winner.
best documentary damn comedian there is.
Dave Gorman, thank you very much.
It's a pleasure to whack you, Google.
Well, thank you, I think. Politics. You know, I don't think we've used that word before on Mondo Thingo, so I'll quickly dampen down the effect with words like Bruce Springsteen, Twisted Sister and In Excess, who've all had songs used by politicians wanting to add a bit of excitement into their campaigns. Now, with both Australia and the US looking at elections this year, John Howard's Frank Ifield LPs must be getting a bit of a workout as he looks for just the right song. So if you'd like to hear what the thinking is behind choosing a political campaign song, it's time. Rallies outside political conventions always had a soundtrack. Music gave voice to rebellion. But now the music has moved into the political conventions themselves. Plenty of politicians have embraced popular music, hoping they might get a smattering of rock and roll cool. But sometimes they end up getting a smattering of something else. In the US and the UK, election candidates would think twice before walking into their own homes without a rock or pop tune blaring out of the stereo. So obviously, they think it has an effect.
The music works for politicians the same as it works for us in film. We see the image, we hear the words, but the music helps us how we relate to it, how we feel about an issue.
But not everyone thinks pop music helps.
Music and politics really is a marriage made in hell, isn't it? I mean, the two just don't go together.
Roosevelt was among the first harnessing popular music, using Happy Days Are Here Again to capture Depression-era votes. And in Australia, politicians first used advertising jingles, most memorably in 1972 with the federal ALP's It's Time campaign. Fast forward 20 years stateside, and the advertising jingle has long been replaced by the party leader's song, which Clinton used to his advantage in 1992 with the baby boomer hit Don't Stop Thinking About Tomorrow.
The Clinton campaign really worked because people could associate with what the song said. Research normally shows what people are thinking. And if it's a change for better time, they search around for music. They search around for music that either reflects this by making us feel that we want to go to the future.
And across the Atlantic, Tony Blair followed Clinton's lead with Dee Ream's Things Can Only Get Better.
Campaigns like Blair's work because the language of the particular campaign reflect what people actually think. It did create the optimism. Things can only get better.
But not everyone shared that optimism.
It is every teenager's worst nightmare, isn't it? Seeing an older person trying to ape the antics of the young. It just doesn't work. Now, Tony Blair, perhaps in 1997, he almost got away with it. But it would absolutely not work now, and it doesn't work for any politicians, really, in the main.
And why? Barry DeVola, a senior writer for Rolling Stone magazine, thinks it's all to do with chemistry.
Politicians usually stuff up pop music because, let's face it, politics isn't sexy, and what they want to do is get some glitter and glam, but they just don't understand how it works.
With so much at stake, you'd think politicians would at least listen to the songs they choose all the way through.
Ronald Reagan used Born in the USA in his campaign, and Born in the USA is just one of those misunderstood songs because the chorus sounds very patriotic. But in fact, the song's about a Vietnam vet coming home to America, not being able to get a job, being hated, being vilified, and ending up destitute.
And Reagan hadn't even asked permission to use the song, though that's a surprisingly common story.
Then the Tasmanian Liberals tried to use Holy Grail, and Mark Seymour came out against that and said he didn't want anything to do with the Liberals at all, that he was disgusted by their policies, and he definitely didn't want his music promoting them.
Unchain my heart.
And there are times when the inappropriateness of a song is so obvious that it takes on a life of its own. Rewind to 2000 and the GST campaign.
That doesn't work if the research didn't say, hey, I really feel that the GST will take the chains off me. No one would have ever said that.
And everyone hated the song as a result. It's not a bad song, really, but now it's been ruined forever.
But despite this unholy alliance, Australian politicians seem to be adopting the US and UK's party leader song. So what do the experts think will get them over the line this year?
I think New Kid in Town by the Eagles might be good for Mark, or perhaps Big Yellow Taxi.
And for John Howard?
Lots of oboes, not too many guitars behind John Howard.
I think possibly Relax by Frankie Goes to Hollywood would be a good one.
Relax, don't do it when you want to go to it. Relax.
Mondo Lingo, providing the must-have words for your vocabulary. This week, NASCAR dad. For Clinton, it was the soccer mum, but now US politicians are wooing the NASCAR dad. He's white, he's working class, and he loves his car racing. He's also a swinging voter, so whoever comes up with a top weekend package for the car racers will be the next president of the United States.
Communicating with the dead used to be a real chore. You'd need a medium, a Ouija board, and one of those hard-to-get books bound in human skin. But now an American website called afterlifetelegrams.com is offering a message service for your departed loved ones. It works like this. First, you decide on the message you want to send. Grandpa, where'd you hide all your money? Seems like a good one. And you type it into this page. Well, here's where it gets interesting. They now have a terminally ill volunteer memorise your message and promise to deliver it when they reach the other side. All for just $5 a word. Now, this may sound tasteless, but that's only because it is. And since Afterlife Telegrams can't know if your telegram's been delivered, you only pay for the attempt to deliver it. Gee, if another courier company tried that, the ACCC would shut them down in a week. Not surprisingly, Afterlife Telegrams is a pretty small operation. Sure, there have been a few incredulous newspaper articles, but not much in the way of actual customers or couriers, if it comes to that. Just as well he didn't go with the Afterlife Stripogram idea. All right, now it's time for our weekly shot of Mondo movies. New release Capturing the Friedmans is a movie documentary that could only be made because the Friedman family themselves routinely recorded everything they did for years. Bit like the Hilton sisters. And didn't it liven up the Friedmans' lengthy home movie when Dad Friedman was charged with the sexual abuse of children? Though unlikely to get a run on Funniest Home Videos, this is still a riveting piece of documentary filmmaking. Feature-length documentaries now have real social and commercial clout, like Michael Moore's Bowling for Columbine, a big hit which also forced Kmart US to stop selling bullets. So this week on Mondo Movies, we take a look at Capturing the Friedmans and some other feature documentaries that made a real difference and had us eating our Jaffas a little more thoughtfully.
Capturing the Friedmans is a new documentary which follows a middle-class New York family from apparent happiness and normalcy to devastation.
Am I dreaming? Is this a nightmare? This can't be happening to my family.
On Thanksgiving night 1987, the Friedman home was raided by police and father Arnold and youngest son Jesse were arrested, charged with hundreds of counts of sodomy and child rape.
You would have to wonder, wouldn't you, what kind of a family situation that could produce this kind of crime.
During this time, eldest son David bought a video camera, and it's his insider footage that makes this film so riveting. As Arnold is revealed as a pedophile and the family disintegrates, David is there and rolling, and the result is no Funniest Home Videos.
You have to hire another lawyer? All this woman does is hire lawyers. I honestly have to tell you, anything that she decides, I can't trust. Arnie, they don't trust me. Well, we don't trust her. We live with
Filmmaker Andrew Jarecki gathers a variety of vastly conflicting testimonies of what really happened in the Friedman family, but offers no definitive answers, forcing the audience to consider the subjective nature of truth.
He told us nothing happened. That's good enough for me. Nothing happened.
Capturing the Friedmans raised so many questions about the prosecution that the case has now been reopened, and Jesse hopes to have his conviction overturned. It's not the first time a documentary has gotten closer to the truth than the legal system. Landmark documentary Errol Morris's The Thin Blue Line is a powerful expose of corruption and prejudice in the Dallas, Texas police force.
He had a confession there he wanted me to sign. He said that I would sign it.
When it was released in 1988, it had such a massive effect, it led to the overturning of death row inmate Tony Amadeo's conviction, leading to his release and survival. New Australian doco, The President vs. David Hicks, also goes into bat for the underdog.
I'm sure you know that I'm not 10 Rambos fitted into one person.
A slow-paced yet revealing film, it considers the predicament of Australian Muslim David Hicks in the custody of the US military at Guantanamo Bay.
Things are going okay. I am being interrogated often, but things are okay.
We follow David's father, Terry, as he travels to Pakistan, Afghanistan, and finally the United States, trying to learn more about his son's past in the hope of salvaging his future.
If you say he's a terrorist, you go and get me the evidence and show me.
With the film screened on SBS TV last week and being released on DVD later this year, it remains to be seen whether this documentary will bring justice for David Hicks.
Hey, George, that film capturing the Friedmans, they just made that by cutting together all the video that they'd constantly shot around the place, didn't they?
Something like that?
Well, we could do that. We're using this. They follow us around all over the place and think about all the crazy stuff that happens that we don't put to air.
Yeah.
You don't. If I don't condition my hair every day, it gets dull and lifeless.
You know, I still miss keeping up appearances. And you just fold it down and...
That's good. Not such a good idea.
No, not really.
Well, time now for Mondo Cheat Notes. And this week, Sean Penn. Sean's gone from being a hard-drinking, paparazzi-punching, Madonna-marrying bad boy to an Oscar-winning, movie-directing, anti-war campaigning pillar of the Hollywood community. Can a feel-good comedy with Billy Crystal be too far off? Emerging as a star in the mid-80s, playing a permanently stoned dude in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, Sean's worked with everyone from Clint Eastwood and Jack Nicholson to Robert De Niro and Judge Reinhold. Yes, it's been quite a journey for Sean, and one well worth a cheat note recap.
Marlon Brando called him the best living actor, while his ex-wife Madonna described him as a cowboy poet. And today, bad boy Sean Penn is one of the most in-demand actors of his generation. Sean has succeeded on his own terms. The characters he plays are usually complicated and amoral, though it wasn't his serious and cerebral side that first brought Sean to attention. Although his first appearance on the big screen was beside Tom Cruise in the overly dramatic Taps, Sean shot to stardom playing a stoned surfer dude in Cameron Crowe's sex-obsessed but classic teen flick Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Oh, gnarly!
He stole the show and was offered countless similar roles. Instead, he took less predictable parts in the gritty drama Bad Boys and the theatrical comedy Crackers. Next came a riveting performance in one of the best political thrillers of the 80s, The Falcon and the Snowman.
I'm not stupid, Chris. I read books. What are you talking about? I know what it's called, disinformation.
But everything that had gone before was to be overshadowed by one single event. Sean and Madonna met on the set for her clip for Material Girl, and they soon became one of the star couples of the 1980s. Dubbed the Poison Pens, their union seemed doomed from the start. While Penn despised paparazzi attention, Madonna revelled in it. Infamous for his run-ins with the media, his temper finally landed him in jail. Somewhere in all this, it was decided that they should do a film. But the only surprising thing about the tragic Shanghai surprise was that it got a release.
If I were you, I would wave and blow him a big kiss.
I will not. An evil, horrible man.
As the film crashed, so did their relationship, and they decided to call it quits in 1989. The following year, Sean starred opposite his future wife, Robin Wright, in the dark and underrated State of Grace. But he was about to take another unexpected step. Disturbingly honest, Sean made his directorial debut with The Indian Runner.
What are you doing here?
He followed it with a sobering and well-crafted film, The Crossing Guard. At the same time, Sean's diverse acting career was flourishing. In 1993, his powerful performance as a coke-addled lawyer in Carlito's Way was highly acclaimed. And in 1995, his role in the thought-provoking Dead Man Walking won him his first Oscar nomination.
I just pray God holds up my legs on that last walk. It's the weight, it's that countdown gets to you.
Then he notched up a second with his perfectly judged character in Woody Allen's Sweet and Low Down.
I can't have my life cluttered. I'm an artist. A truly great artist.
His third was not far away. It came in 2001 with I Am Sam, a sickly film salvaged only by Sean. And always the unpredictable, in 2001, he also made an out-of-character appearance in Friends.
Well, is your mother here? Maybe I'd give her a little slap on the butt.
My mother killed herself.
See, and I knew that, and...
While acting was his bread and butter, Sean was taking the political more to heart. Thrusting his opposition to the war into the open, Sean directed a poetic and provocative segment for the film 110901 about the inherent loss of September 11.
You should have seen this, my dear.
He also made controversial trips to Iraq in 2002 and 2003, personally pleading with Bush after each to stop the march to war. As a result, he was accused of undermining American solidarity and dubbed Baghdad Sean. He recently won an Oscar for his intense performance in Mystic River. It was the first time he'd attended the awards, and his acceptance speech was gracious but spiked with his politics.
If there's one thing that actors know, other than that there weren't any WMDs,
Sean's reputation as a hot-tempered actor has been replaced with a reputation as an actor with a cause. But at a time when he seems at his most artistically and politically serious, maybe it's not so surprising that unpredictable Sean's rumoured to be playing Larry in the Farrelly Brothers remake of The Three Stooges.
No, I think it's a great idea. I'll just ask her. Amanda, you know in the Friedmans documentary where they had this big moment that suddenly made everything a bit more interesting?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the team here have suggested a thing that we might be able to do to make our doco a bit more interesting.
Let's hear it.
Okay. A lesbian kiss. Oh, hang on. It worked for Buffy, it worked for Madonna and Britney.
Who exactly did you have in mind, George?
No pressure. Just think it's quite a good idea, that's all.
Next week, the people who take hating ads to absolute extremes. And the story behind Roald Dahl's iconic chocolate factory.
Time's up, pencils down. We've come to the end of another show. But Gold Pass ABC viewers are about to get an extra little something. While sadly, Standard Pass ABC viewers are leaving us now, and we thank you for tuning in. Good night. OK, now they've gone. We've got some Carmen Electra for you. Prince protege, Playboy bunny, Baywatch star, former wife of basketballer Dennis Rodman, who was drunk when he married her in a quickie Las Vegas wedding, but quite sober when he filed for an annulment 9 days later. Such is celebrity. But Carmen's now married to Jane's Addiction guitarist Dave Navarro, and she's also put out a series of exercise DVDs based, almost predictably, on stripper moves. And the one that caught my eye, funnily enough, was her lap dance workout. Never less than tasteful, rarely more than naff. This DVD is a tribute to a woman who knows what her strengths are and dresses to display both of them. Of course, real lap dancers get their exercise by being chased around by Ben Affleck. Bye for now.
This gives you a really good stretch, and it's also pretty sexy. And now we're gonna stretch to the side. And 1, down, 2, up, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Other side. Down, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I knew you could do it.